very well for us and for the community. So it's doing what we wanted to do. Is there any questions? Emily? Mayor?
Nope, I'm okay with it.
The chair would be open for an approval of the proposed 2022 budget as presented by Chris Schweitzer.
As a point of order, we have that as a new business item under 7.1 for approval, so this was just a presentation.
Yep.
Yep,
Approve it
Okay.
later.
I take that to back.
Okay.
We're moving on then to item number 6.1, old business, and update on the construction progress with Brian Koistra of Garmong Construction Services. Morning, Brian.
Good morning. I'm here to provide an update on construction activities through the month of August 2021. First item, budget. Current GMP amount is $26,958,850. Second item is schedule. If you recall, last month we talked about the project was trending ahead of schedule, and we were going to do a little bit of a deep dive and establish potentially an improved schedule date. I'm happy to report we're comfortable doing that at this point. So our original substantial completion date was April 27th of 2022, and we feel we are running about 2 months ahead of schedule and are comfortable moving that date up to March 1st, 2022. So things are definitely moving as planned or better than planned. Some recent progress, lots of work taking place. If you've driven by, there's people working all over the facility, inside and out. Drywall finishing is taking place, and today will be the first paint that gets applied within the facility, so a milestone of sorts. EFIS, the plaster work, is complete on the north elevation, and they are now moved to the east elevation. So they're set up between the convention center and the copper bar. That, along with a little bit of work on the roof, is all that remains for the EFIS, so that is nearing completion. Glass, pretty much all of the glass on the facility has been installed. We've got gutters and downspouts being installed. Soffit, I've got a picture of this. I'll share in a minute, but on the main entrance above the Larry Bird Museum and along Wabash, it gets a wood grain metal soffit. That is being installed. Some remaining site utilities are underway. The connector, if you've driven by lately, you've seen a lot of work taking place there. Happy to report that steel erection for the connector started this morning, so that'll really start taking shape in the days to come. And some work in the kitchen has taken place. The kitchen exhaust hood, which I've got a picture of as well, has been installed. Some recent progress in the parking garage. Electrical work has taken place. The electrical room, that equipment is being installed, and they're beginning to run conduits for lighting throughout the facility. The slab on grade, we've kind of held off on that the last week or two, but I anticipate that work starting up next week. We'll get that completed. All that remains is the ground floor of the parking garage to be poured. And then the stair handrails are being installed as well. Looking ahead, talked about completing the EFIS. We'll begin painting in the pre-function ballroom and back of house areas. The front and rear entrances are being installed, so you'll see the glass doors taking shape, both in the north and south entrances. Now that we're beginning to paint kind of on the west side of the building, we'll complete drywall and drywall finishing on the east half of the building. Exterior hardscape, you'll see a lot of work taking place over the next couple months in terms of finished grade, sidewalks, pavers, asphalt paving, curbs. Really, we're in a sprint to get all of that work done, we've got a goal of the end of October, which gives us a little bit of leeway in November if we need it, but definitely in a push to get all of the site work, including landscaping, installed yet this season. Hilton Garden Inn connector steel, as I mentioned, started today, and the limestone sign installation at the main entrance is underway. So we'll be pouring that today, but it's a big concrete wall that gets cladded in limestone right outside the front entrance. That work is well underway as well. Parking garage, we'll pour the slab. We'll install the roofs over the stairs and elevator, and then allow the elevator installation to begin this month. Several photos here to share with you. You can see this is a shot from the webcam showing general progress on the south elevation. This is more of a close-up photo of that along Wabash Avenue. This is, it might be a little hard to see, but it shows the wood grain soffit above the Larry Bird Museum installed. This is a shot from the roof of the parking garage, looking at the east elevation of the building. So the areas you see in blue are the areas that are receiving the EFIS installation. This is a shot of the north elevation of the building, again from the parking garage roof. You can see all the EFIS and glasses installed along that side of the building. This is the northeast corner of the convention center, looking from the garage. Shot of the ballroom. I mentioned painting work will begin in there probably next week. You can see the ceiling framing that's installed. This is the pre-function area where they're beginning to paint today. That is the kitchen hood, so the exhaust hood over the kitchen equipment. This is the Hilton Garden Inn connector. As I mentioned, steel is being installed on that today. This is the north entrance, looking south with the parking garage to your left as the picture's taken. You can see the doors being installed there. Opposite side of the building, main entrance, again, doors being installed. I think the last photo, somewhat hard to see, but the formwork is in place for the concrete wall that gets clad in limestone, which I mentioned will be poured today. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
On the Hilton Garden Inn, with this connector, you'll be removing the glass windows, is that correct?
Correct. So once we get the structure itself installed and weather tight, then the windows that are currently in the Hilton Garden Inn get removed, and those openings just kind of remain as that. We finish them out, and it creates kind of an open connection to the Hilton Garden Inn restaurant area. So those openings stay the same, but the windows come out.
Do you have an expectation of when you think most of the exterior work will be done on the convention center portion?
Yeah, my hope is, November 1st.
That everything will move inside, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
That gives us a little bit of leeway. I mean, as far as asphalt, typically Thanksgiving is kind of the date they would typically close. I would say generally that runs a little bit into December, but we're trying to afford ourselves a little bit of contingency plan, so we're shooting for November 1st to have all the, asphalt paving, landscaping, really all the work on the exterior of the building complete.
How about an update too on behind the convention center? Is there any work taking place back there yet?
That work will be starting probably in September. We've got a goal of getting all of that area cleared out by the end of the month. It'll allow us room to work back there. So, yeah, when I say all of the site work, that area included, all around the parking garage, behind the convention center, along Wabash Avenue. We've got aggressive plans to get all of that complete, and really, we have to. If we're turning the building over March 1st, we need to have all that done before winter comes, and we're confident we can do that.
Cool, thank you.
Do you have an anticipated completion of the parking garage?
Well, the parking garage really is on the same time frame as the convention center, contractually. Now, I would say by October or November, the parking garage is substantially complete. There's some connectivity issues where, data service would come from the convention center and feed to the garage. So there's some things there that would make it tricky to use the parking garage in advance of the convention center. I'm not saying it's not possible, but yeah, I'm confident the parking garage will be substantially complete right around November.
Okay.
If it needed to be used. We'd have to figure out a few details, but I don't think it's anything we couldn't overcome.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members have any questions? Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Still under old business, 6.2, an update on convention center management with Tennille, Spectra Venue Management. Good morning, Tennille.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a quick update, starting with employment. We have our first new hire that will be starting August 30th. This is our Director of Operations. His name is Brady Kearns. He comes to us from the Holman Center. He's got about 15 years of events experience, particularly operations and very heavy in audiovisual, which is exactly what we were looking for the building. So I am very excited to start working with Brady in a couple weeks. We've recently opened 2 more positions, so we'll be hiring a sales manager, and then we have a director of finance position open. So I'm hoping that our sales manager position will be the first one that's filled here in probably 3 or 4 weeks, and then the director of finance, we'll have that open probably 30, 60 days, just making sure that we got to make sure we have the right people in place. As far as construction and pre-opening items, we continue to meet with vendors about products that are going in the facilities so that we understand what those services are and what the capabilities are, so we make sure that if there's anything missing on our end, we're up to date. We continue to go through FF&E list. If there's anything that we can find on our list that is cheaper, we're looking at pricing, trying to find the best prices. We had Laura, who's with me from Owensboro, went to an industry conference last week and was able to get some show pricing for us for various items. So we're going back and seeing, where can we, fine tune some items. And we have our booking software that we're getting ready to start configuring. So we'll actually have our CRM in place probably in the next 30 days. We'll start having our account software, booking software, and all that ready to go. As far as community involvement, I continue to meet with folks from the community. A few of those folks that I've met with recently has been Fred Nation with the Swope Museum. We've talked about how we can utilize museum for events. Had a little tour there, looked at their event space. I've been trying to figure out where all the other remaining event space in the community is, so that if we have overflow events, what can we use as part of our package? So working with them. I had a tour of the Holman Center, I met with Jennifer and Fred there, really went through the building to see everything that they have. We've got a lot of potential to work on events together between all of us. Mayor Bennett and I had a really good meeting. He talked to me about some of the plans for downtown Terre Haute and what that will do for convention attendees. So I'm very excited about what's on the horizon. On the marketing front, we have a temporary website that's up. And you can find that at terrehotecc.com. We had our first lead come through the website the other day, so it was a very substantial lead, which was very exciting. And we have our Google Business set up. So now when you're Googling Terre Haute Convention Center, it comes up. So reviews in the future will be able to be left there. The most exciting part right now for me is we've got 5 events that we're working on that we've got in our funnel. So 2 events are for 2023 and 3 are for 2022. These are prospective events still. So I've issued proposals to them. So they're not in a contractual phase yet, but one of them that I can speak to does look very good. We have the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana that is looking pretty strong for us. So out of the 5 events, we have almost 2,000 room nights that are associated with the 5 conventions or the 5 events that we have, and nearly $250,000 in gross revenue. So that's pretty exciting for, still being quite a ways away from opening, and we've got a small funnel going. So that's all I have. Any questions?
When the convention center's up and running, what is the, if it's a 3-day event, would you plan on turning like an event ideally every weekend or
So
every 2 weeks? What kind of turnaround time do you guys need on something like that?
we will run events every day. So if we have an event that we might have a breakfast in the morning for a meeting, if we can turn that room and have a dinner in the evening, then we'll turn the room and do a dinner. So we'll book as many events as we possibly can, allowing enough time to turn the room and reset, whether it's coming from a banquet to a theater or a classroom. So ultimately, we want convention after convention. Those are the groups that bring in the hotel room nights, that bring a lot of economic impact to the community. And then we fill in with meetings. So conventions will typically book further out, and then we start to fill in with the smaller meetings and banquets and weddings and such. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Tennille, can you refresh my memory on how many hotel rooms we have downtown?
I think there are about 210 right next door to us, between the 2 hotels, the Candlewood and the Hilton Garden Inn.
And can you explain to the members, which I'm sure they already know, but to the public, how important hotel rooms are to the convention center?
Absolutely. So I can tell you, one of the groups that I'm working on needs 275 room nights on peak. That's every night they need 275 rooms. That means it would fill 2 hotels that are already right there, and typically you're not going to get their whole building because they need to leave some rooms open for transient business. So I need more overflow rooms to various hotels in the community. So a lead that I've just sent out is going to the Hilton Garden Inn, the Candlewood Suites. It's also going to the Ohio building because I know they have a few rooms that are walkable. It's going to the campus because during the summer they've got empty dorms, which is another option. And then it's also going to the Drury and some of the other hotels that are right near the interstate. So having the walkable downtown hotel rooms is vital to a convention center because it's a make or break for the business. If you have folks that are flying in and they're getting to their hotels, they need to be able to get to the convention center very easily without having to do Ubers or having to drive because they can go to bigger cities that offer a walkable downtown or that's all under one roof.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Tennille, thank you. And item number 6.3, still under old business, would be an update on the Larry Bird Museum design with the Nations Group. Todd Schaefer, good morning.
Morning, Mr.
I want to
President,
caution
members.
you to do a good job because your boss is here.
I know, right? I had to practice all night. Thank you. Morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Update on the Larry Bird Museum. The concept plan has been reviewed with the museum committee here locally, and they're currently reviewing it and talking internally and getting ready to provide their comments back in the next week or so to your museum consultant, Mark Madursky, and he will consolidate those and forward those to myself and Hilferty, our museum design group. They will then look at those comments, update the concept plan, and issue it back out to the committee for further review, hopefully final comments and approval, and they can move forward with the final concept plan, and then we can have them prepare for the next phase. At the same time, Shell will give us an update on the exhibits and the memorabilia, and they can go ahead and start to plan those exhibits into the space that we've all have approved. So looking for the next couple weeks to get those comments back and get that concept plan updated, and hopefully finalized here in the next month or so.
Do I have any questions on the museum?
Don, I know one thing that's critical is we have to get our artifacts cataloged and get that information to Hilferty quickly as we can, because they need to know what we have to complete the design of the museum space.
Well, as the board knows, and most of the public out there knows, most of the artifacts reside at Greg Gibson's house and other areas that Greg has access to. Obviously, in the past couple of months, Greg's been extremely busy with another project that he's doing, but he has guaranteed me that, and Shelley, that he will get access, get Shelley access to those articles very soon. In fact, I don't know when, but those articles will all be incorporated in one area instead of several around the state very soon. So, anything else? Italy? Okay. Okay, item number 6.4, an update on equipment purchases. Todd?
So I know we've been talking about this for a few months. With the furniture, we had initial proposal approved by the board. We're still working with the furniture company to finalize selections. We're trying to look for furniture now that will fill the purpose and be comfortable and useful in the space, but also find something at a lesser cost. So we just need another month here with Spectra to go through that. We're making a lot of success on that, finding some good comparable products now that the market's kind of stabilized. Like Brian said, it's come a little bit more back to normal. People are a little bit more aggressive on some pricing and finding solutions. So we need another month just to finalize our furniture selections. So we can get a final contract price, which will be lower than what we proposed to the board. So we'll see some savings in that to put back into the FF&E budget. And then on the parking garage equipment, we're doing the same thing. Something's come up in the last 6 weeks about additional security cameras in the lower level of the parking garage. We didn't have any in the original design. So we're looking to add that at the entry points, and one of those is the garage gates and equipment. So we just received the cost last week for cameras on the parking equipment, and we're waiting for our cost to come in for security cameras at all entrance points of the garage. And we'll compare the two and see which is the better, most cost-effective solution to move forward with. So we need another week, probably 2 weeks on that until we can finalize the garage equipment and see if the security cameras within the garage equipment are the better option than adding security cameras above the garage equipment, but still adding security cameras at the entrance, the pedestrian doors at the garage. So a couple more weeks on that, we'll have that finalized. And that's going to be, with the cameras, still be less than what the number that was approved by the board here about a month or so ago. So give us have a good update on that, tell you where we're at with those two purchases and the costs we can put back into the small wares operation budget for Spectra to fit out the building properly.
Okay. Chris Nations of Nations Group, he's the president, obviously, of the group. Would you like to address anything, Chris? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Todd.
All right, thank you.
Does the board have any questions, Todd?
Will furniture and signage be able to keep up with the updated completion date?
Yes, we're on track with that. Yeah, furniture, kind of slow playing that because we want to order that this year when we still have this year's pricing. We don't want to deliver it until there's space in the convention center ready because they want to charge us storage. So we're working we order it in time here, middle of September. Be plenty of time for production. They'll start to ship it first of the year, working with Garmong to find some spaces that'll be complete, that we can have that stuff shipped to, delivered, and then it can be unpackaged and assembled and rolled out into the rooms as they're completed. So we're on track for that. Parking garage equipment, same thing. It's about 2 or 3 months delivery. That'll be ready here by the first of the year to do installation before the garage's final completion. Signage is being manufactured, and we're working with contractors to get that installed as areas are ready.
All right, thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
6.5 under old business is an update on our project budget with Jason Simler of Baker Tilly.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I believe last night you received a copy of the comparison of the budget expenses to the actual expenses. Give you a few minutes to look at that. It's very similar to the report that we've sent out the last couple of months. I would mention there is a couple slight changes toward the bottom of the schedule that is new. We have included some unbudgeted additional project costs. These are costs that we've been discussing for the last couple weeks, maybe a month, of potential costs that the board is looking at, and we wanted to include these into the budget to see how that they would fit with the overall original budget. And as you can see, if these costs come to fruition, we're showing the FF&E some additional costs that Spectra has looked at the original budget, come up with some additional costs that you're going to consider. Looked at maybe a change in one of the elevators of about $40,000, and then there's been a request for some additional outlets. So we showed that here, showing that if the board approves these expenses, and that it fits within the original budget, and leaves about $38,000 left in contingencies. But other than that, I think everything else is kind of similar to what we presented in the past. If you look at the far right column, based upon the current cost estimates, there's about $13.7 million left to be spent for the project.
Mayor, do you have anything?
Very good.
Emily?
And I guess I would just add, as Chris talked about when you approved the 2002 budget, based upon what you have now in the bank, plus what we're anticipating that you'll receive remaining in this year, next year, after all these construction costs are paid, assuming they are all incurred, there's still about $1.5 million balance in your account. So I just bring that up just because, as you can see, there's not much left in the contingency line item, if based upon these projections right here. So that $1.5 million that you do have remaining, that could be used for additional expenses if they are incurred or do come up as the project continues. So I just wanted to bring that up. You do have some more flexibility than what we're showing right here, if you desire to go that route.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Jason, appreciate it very much. Item 6.7, an update on legal matters.
6.6.
Coger, Gardis, Regis. Yeah, she's not right.
All right, okay, sorry. 6.7.
Right here, okay?
That's fine.
All right. Thank you, President, members of the board. As the last item before the budget, I just wanted to thank the Finance Committee, Baker Tilly and Jason, and Auditor Bramble going through the budget. I think this has been a great place and better than we could expect in these trying times, especially with the construction budget and all things. So, we're very pleased to have worked on that. We're still working through easements, finalize those. We are currently looking at RFP for sponsorship which is item 7.2. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we're also reviewing the license rental agreements that Spectra's provided to make sure that they meet CIB's needs. So I'm going to get those turned around quickly so Tennille can start booking these events. Everything's moving along smoothly from the legal side.
All right. Any question? All right, thank you, Doug. Under new business, item 7.1 is the adoption of the 2022 Convention Center operating budget. Do we need to go through the thing again?
I would just say, President Marvel, if any of the board members have questions, to ask them now because Jason's right here, so.
Make a motion make that motion, Chris.
Chair will hear a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2022 proposed budget.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 2022 budget as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So moved. And again, we've approved it, the Capital Improvement Board, but then Chris will go before the county council to present the budget to them for their approval. Right?
Correct.
Again, under new business, 7.2 is the authorization to proceed with an RFP. It's a request for proposal for sponsorship and naming rights in our convention center. Doug?
This is an item that I believe has come up in previous meetings. Spectra has a couple of vendors they've looked at having sponsorship rights on both the main hall as well as the office room up on the second floor, and then signage on the electric sign out front, and additionally, an exclusive banking relationship. So this is for Custord's banks. They'll also provide an ATM with inside the convention center. Given the dollar amount that Spectra believes that this sponsorship would get, we are suggesting an RFP. So at this time, we're asking that the executive committee be given the authority to issue the RFP, or the executive committee to issue that RFP, and then the results would come back to the full CIB to vote on the RFP.
You will do a resolution or
So right now, we're asking that there's a resolution that approves the executive, that gives the executive committee the authority to issue the RFP. Once the RFP is issued, we'll come back with the results, and that will go before the full board for approval.
okay.
Do we have a proposal on the RFP or the contracts, what kind of money we're talking about for sponsorship? I don't think we've seen any of that.
Correct, you have not. So this is giving the executive committee the authority to develop that RFP. So we started working on the proposal based on some of the information. Spectra has done this in other venues that they work with. So we started to put together a proposal, and that's what we're empowering the executive committee to finalize that proposal. The result of the RFP then come back to the CIB for full approval.
So we're looking for a motion to, I'll make a motion to approve the executive committee to work on this RFP process and bring their results or findings to the full board. Is that good enough, Doug?
A second?
It's been made and seconded to allow the executive board to proceed with the request for proposal, bringing it back to the full board for approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So moved. Pat Ralston?
Yes, I'm Pat Ross from First Financial Bank, and I just want to see how they're going to decide who they're going to send proposals to. I just want to let them know that our bank is interested in this. We don't know, obviously, how it's going to turn out or what's going to be inside it, but I just want to make sure that we're on a list to receive a copy. And I don't know who you're going to send it to, but as long as we get one, I get it to our CEO, Norm Lowry, for him to review, and then we'll go from there.
So, again, because of the dollar amount, this is a public process to determine who gets the sponsorship rights. So
right.
there will be public notice posted in local publications. We'll make sure that.
Okay, I want to give you my business card right now.
You'll be on the list, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving along now to item number 8, other business. Do we have any questions or comments from the board members? Hearing none. Our next regular board meeting will be September the 15th, 2021. And hopefully we'll have some good news about completion of some things at the center in a month. Right, Brian? Okay. All right. We're adjourned until September the 15th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Thank you. Oh, Dave.
I'm sorry I got on so late. I was kind of facing the other direction, waiting to see you were on there waiting in the waiting room. So I apologize.